We have risen from the ashes to school the masses. Hello, everyone. Welcome to another edition of the Scholars Wrestling Show, episode 481. I'm your man behind the microphone, Scholar Jeff. Joining us this week is the one and only, the freshest scholar on the scene. He is Scholar Pete. Scholar Pete, are you ready to talk some wrestling tonight, sir?
There has been something that's happened, my tag team partner, and it's quite interesting that Scholar Tarek and Scholar Brian are absent. Let me tell the Scholars of Wrestling fans out there, and please comment your concerns to me. I would appreciate down below in the comments, of course. But my tag team partner, Scholar Jeff, have I missed a show in the last 3 months? I have
Oh,
been here week in and week out. And when our champion, Scholar Brian, comes up whenever he wants, so then isn't it odd that I just go missing for our title match for Bad Blood? Because you kidnapped me, Scholar Brian. You kidnapped me. And all I remember is waking up to me saying that Finn Balor was going to beat Damian Priest? Who would say that? Who would pick that?
who
My card,
indeed?
my prediction card was not my choices. You gotta believe me, fans. I am here for you. I'm always here for the people. And Scholar Brian didn't want to defend his title like a man, and he locked me up. And I had to.
It's okay. Your tears say all the truth in the world.
And I had to come back to tell you fans that I'm here to show you what our prediction is all about. Scholar Brian, I hope when you come back, you have answers for our fan base because I'm back here with my tag team partner, Scholar Jeff, worried and sick about me. Weren't you, Scholar Jeff? He was. And here I see that you two are missing on a prediction show when I escaped from your clutches, Scholar Brian. It's that interesting. But here I say to you, Scholar Jeff, let's show how a real prediction show is done with great knowledge, great debate among two brilliant scholars such as ourselves.
Indeed. And I'd have to say, I am so delighted to have you back in action. I was this close to sending out a missing persons report. I was worried about your whereabouts. I didn't hear from you for a whole several hours. I was deathly afraid that the worst had come to pass. But lo and behold, here you are, ready to host another exciting episode of the Wrestling Show and to predict the AEW Wrestledream. So the only question I got for you, Scholar Pete, is are you ready to make some predictions for AEW Wrestledream?
Born ready. Let's go. Let's go where the wrestling is the wrestling.
Indeed, we will go to where the wrestling is indeed the wrestling because AEW shows, hey, we know that they provide every single ounce, every single smidgen of wrestling that you can enjoy and possibly take in a, I don't know, 5 or 6 hour setting. These shows are jam packed. And as of the time of this recording, we've got 11 of them to get through. So let's dive right in, starting with
I
a
mean,
match on the pre show. Yes, you have something, Pete.
I'm just saying, AEW, 11 matches. Come on, guys. You got to trim some of the fat. I mean, WWE has it great with 5 matches, 11 matches. It's hard to be right 11 and 11 times. I mean, your scholar, Pete, here can do it. And of course, I know Scholar Jeff will share in my brilliance, but like 11 matches, you don't think that's too much for this card? You don't think it takes away where by the time we get to say Daniel Bryan Moxley, you don't think that the audience and the fans are going to just have the wind knocked out of them?
I will say this in somewhat sincerity here. AEW shows are absolutely jam packed and they are very long. A lot of times, at least here on the East Coast, where a lot of these shows go long into the night. And while there are some pacing problems, I will say that these pay per views from AEW and most AEW shows in general having attended some Dynamite shows in the past. One thing that I do know for sure is that when you buy an AEW show, whether a ticket in the arena itself or just on pay-per-view, you get your money's worth. And
Wrestling with wrestling.
especially when with AEW coming to Max next year and the ability to replay and rewatch these shows, there's going to be a lot. You're going to be able to enjoy so much more AEW when you're going to be absolutely getting your money's worth with these shows. Are they long? Yes. Do they have pacing issues? Yes. But I've also heard the same thing about me. So hey, what can I say about that? There are some
Let's get
things in
into
life
some
you just got to deal
predictions.
with. Let's deal enough of this nonsense. Let's deal with some predictions, starting with the pre-show. The first and only pre-show match so far announced as of the time of this recording is Atlantis Jr. going up against Brian Cage. Because our champion is not in attendance, I will acquiesce the first pick to you, sir. So between Atlantis Jr. and Brian Cage, which way you going?
I mean, the pick here is Atlantis Junior. I mean, they're both up and comers right now. Um, and I feel like right now the way to go about it is giving it to Junior. I think it's going to be a great match regardless, and that's all I have to say on the match. I think it's going to be a great pre-show match to the start us off.
Hmm. Very interesting. I have to admit something here. I'm not too familiar with Atlantis Jr.'s deal, but I do know that Brian Cage is a mainstay in AEW, and again, big dude, great look, but he seems to be just recently becoming around to having something to do, something to really sink his teeth into, so to speak. So for this one, I'm going to give this to Brian Cage, actually. I think he's due for a win, and if they're going to be featuring him on the pre-show in any capacity, my gut is telling me that they're going to give this one to Brian Cage. But that is just my first prediction of the evening. Moving on to the rest of the card proper, we've got Mark Briscoe defending his Ring of Honor championship against Chris Jericho. Now, this is where the predictions start getting a little bit dicey because I'm not really
Absolutely not.
there
See,
is there is something really interesting here because we know that Chris Jericho has won the Ring of Honor title before. He's done it before. He could possibly do it again, especially if we don't really know where he's going to go or where Chris Jericho is going to go next with his character work, with anything really. So, but then on the other hand, I also don't really envision Mark Briscoe losing the title right here in this fashion. It's only really because it's Chris Jericho that I can even think that the idea is plausible at all. In my mind, this can go either way, but in this particular case, I am going to go with Mark Briscoe to defend successfully. I feel like when Mark Briscoe eventually drops the title, it's going to be someone who is more up and coming, someone who is needs that extra step up. I can definitely see Jericho. It's again, it's Chris Jericho. He's done it before. It's absolutely possible. This is more of a coin flip, so I'm gonna go somewhere, and I'm gonna go with Mark Briscoe to defend. Pete, which way you going?
you know what? Even though we did not match on the pre-show predictions, Scott Jeff, which I understand, as tag team partners, we have, flaws sometimes in our ring work, but I have to agree with you with Briscoe is winning this, but it's not 50-50. I am 100% convinced. He won as soon as Jericho invoked Jay Briscoe's name. You need to show Mark as a singles competitor, as your ROH champion. You need to show him on the main stage. And what better way than to not, I don't want to say in squash, but basically give Chris Jericho, a veteran in the sport, just give him a good solid beatdown to be like, no, I'm the next big thing. Jericho gives the rub to Mark, and I think he wins without a question. I don't think this is up for debate.
Very good. Moving on to our next match on the card, we've got a grudge match for the ages. We've got Darby Allin versus Brody King. I'm not sure how much of this feud that you've seen, but over the years, there's been a running feud between Darby Allin and Brody King. Just Brody King will just attack Darby Allin wherever. At a concert that Darby's at, Brody King will come in and kick his ass. At Comic-Con doing a panel, Brody King will interrupt the panel, run up there and kick his ass. This has been going, this is like almost like Sami Zayn versus Kevin Owens. They can push that button. It's like, okay, in case of if you need a feud, break the glass. Boom. These guys are going to be killing each other forever. But the question here is who's going to kill each other first? Pete, it's your pick up next. Which way you going, Darby or Brody?
Well, that's the interesting thing. This feud has been going on, like you said, and it's great. It's great TV. It's a perfect analogy, what you said. It's the Sami Zayn and Kevin Owens. But let's face the facts. If Brody wins here, it's a massive push for him. You're looking at him becoming a world champion in 2025. I think that could be very much
Hmm.
agreeable. But you know what? Is he the guy right now that AEW is going to focus on? And I don't think he is. I think this is a Darby Allin win without question. I think he's the AEW boy. And even though I don't think it will hurt at the end of the day, I still think that Mr. King will get his King Championship in 2025. And I'm curious, do you believe that as well, Jeff? I saw you acknowledging my comment there. I want just wonder if you stood with, Scour Pete on this.
I'll tell you what, I stand with you in terms of the predictions for this match. I also think Darby Allin is going to win this one. But what I find most interesting is your input on Brody King with this. Because Brody King, I feel, is in a very interesting position right now. The House of Black is very minimal right now. Brody King just seems like he's constantly just more of a force in the House of Black, but occasionally between what's her name? I'm blanking on her name. This between Julia Hart. Between coming out and being an enforcer for Julia Hart and then just doing stuff like this, I feel like Brody is slowly but surely coming into his own as the big guy from the House of Black who is not Aleister Black. I'm
I
sure.
compare him to like Big E. Remember when Big E was with Dolph and AJ and he just saw Big E as the muscle?
Yeah,
Like
yeah,
obviously
but
not
there's
in the
still more potential
comical
there.
sense,
Yeah,
but you see the potential. I think, like I said, I think he could be a guy for their future in AEW because I think they do build stars very good over there, and but I do think at the end of the day, like I said, Darby Allin will win this match because he's America's little sweetheart. But I think this is something where you put on the card, you know it's going to be a good match. There are just those matches, you put two people together. It's like, oh, it's another rockin' Triple H I give you. It's just, oh, we're gonna put some magic in. You're gonna see some great moments. It's gonna be a great time. But you were saying Darby Allen as well,
I am
because
gonna
you are a
go with
smart
Darby
man
Allin.
as my tag team partner.
Yeah. I like Darby Allin. I feel like he's a good old tried and true. And as a little bit of a sidebar, Scar Pete, do you watch the show Hot Ones at all?
Love hot ones.
Well, apparently they're doing a team up with AEW where they're doing a Deathwing roulette where a whole bunch of people from AEW have to just like eat a wing, and it could be like really mild or it could be just like the last dab, like the spiciest
Oh,
of the
that's
spicy.
awesome.
They released a clip. I think it's on like X or Twitter, or it's probably on like TikTok or whatever too, where they show Darby Allin just like grabbing a random wing and eating it, and he's just like, That's pretty good. What is this on the spice scale? It's like a two. He picked up the last dab and no sold it. It's like, of course, Darby Allin would get like the death wing of doom and just be like, whatever.
But you know what it is? I feel like Tony Khan like loves Darby Allin, and it's just me going like the guy has been there. He worked with an icon, and that's just Sting. Like Sting is a legend, an icon in the business. He got to work with Sting. Like how is like it's like I said, Darby Allin is just a great. I kudos to the kid, man. Chase your dreams out there, ladies and gentlemen. Look what Darby Allin does. He eats wings and doesn't even get affected by it. Goes through coffin and lives to tell the tale.
I'll tell you what, and this is only going to be a brief aside before we continue on the proper, but you brought up a very interesting point about how Darby Allin is sort of like Tony Khan's guy. I would only add one amendment to that, and that is he is one of Tony Khan's guys. I have felt for a while now that AEW needs like diehard, dedicated champions for the brand, really. And I feel like Darby Allin is certainly one of them. I also feel like Swerve Strickland is a very strong champion for the brand. There's a handful of people who aren't just like, okay, I'm here to do my job. I'm here to wrestle, do the good wrestling and get paid the good money. But there needs to be a certain amount of people, particularly AEW originals, people who didn't establish their names in WWE, who can really still champion the cause for both fans and wrestlers alike. And I feel like Darby Allin since day one has been one of those day one guys. And really, I think because of how he genuinely seems to love it there, I think he's got all the confidence in the world from Tony Khan. Him and so many other people like him who we're going to be getting into later.
It's like Abyss in TNA, like when it just works for the person, it works for the person. Let me tell you something, Scholar Jeff, what a treat it is that it's just you and me, just shooting, talking about great knowledge of wrestling, something that the other scholars are clearly absent, don't know what a good card is. Like we just have great predictions. Like, let me tell you
And
something.
such enthralling discussions
I
about
mean,
the past, present, and future in the world of professional wrestling and in AEW proper. You can't
uh,
get this kind of
I,
conversation anywhere else, kids. You
I
just
mean,
can't.
I mean, golf clap to you, sir. Golf clap to you.
Golf clap to you,
It,
sir, my
oh,
tag team partner.
thank you,
Golf
thank you.
clap to you.
Let's acknowledge these fine folks with the next match. What do we
Yes,
got
we're
going
we're
on?
gonna acknowledge them so good, so darn good. We're gonna acknowledge it good. But anyway, moving on to the next match on the card, we've got for the TNT Championship, we've got Jack Perry defending his title against Katsuyori Shibata. We've got the scapegoat versus the no nonsense wrestler hailing from New Japan. You can't break him. You can try, and the scapegoat will certainly try here. And I believe it's my pick
It is
first,
your pick,
correct?
sir.
Okay. Uh,
Wow me.
I'll tell you what. I feel like I want to really buy into Shibata. The best way I can describe him is this is going to sound bad, but it really isn't. He would be like a Japanese version of Chris Benoit if he didn't murder anybody. Like all the good stuff, none of the bad, and he's from Japan. I want to believe in Shibata. I like Shibata, but
But
I feel like Jack Perry has been on way too much of a roll lately where they need a stronger feud to take the title off of Jack Perry. So, Shibata, I like you, man, but you're not going to be the one to unseat Jack Perry. But that's just my guess. Pete, which way you going on your end?
I mean, Scholar Jeff. Yeah, say less, preach more. I mean, it's absolutely the correct answer is Jack Perry's winning this match. I mean, like you said, Shibata, it looks good, but the scapegoat just has way too much going on right now. He's just on a roll. Like you said, he's not going to lose this match. You need a good feud. I think there will be a title, a DQ, something to where he obviously retains, but beyond that, it's unanimous that he will win this match.
All right. Next match on the card, we've got what could be the potentially the match of the evening. We've got a triple threat match for the international championship. We've got Will Ospreay defending his title against Ricochet and Konosuke Takeshita. Now, Pete, it's your pick up next. Which way you going?
You know what makes me mad, Scholar Jeff?
What makes you
I
mad?
should have said to you that it was my choice, and that way you could predict this one. Because I'm not gonna lie to you, Scholar Jeff. I'm torn on this one. I'm 50-50. I don't know where I'm going with this. So I feel like, let's talk about it. Let's see. Is it gonna be that Will is gonna retain? And but what happens? Because later on, my prediction might be a little bit crazy for some. But let me tell you something, audience. Scholar Brian locked me up, but I'm a free bird now, and I'm gonna acknowledge you. So I'm gonna say, where can you go? I think it's what's going to happen is that will still retain, but by God, it's going to be a hell of a match. I think Osprey will retain for just a little bit longer. You want this belt to be relevant, and I think right now with him, he's making it relevant. I think you don't have him lose it until you get the one-on-one with him and Ricochet. I think right now it's Will's. It's yeah, I got to go with Will. Scholar Jeff, do you agree with me? Are we like still the 3D Dudley Boys tag team?
Just keep talking. Eventually, those words will make sense. But ultimately, yes, I do agree with you. I do think Will Ospreay is going to win, but you know what? You had me sweating there for a second. I really wanted to believe that you were gonna pick Ricochet. I saw you wanting to pick Ricochet,
You
but
still
ultimately,
it's let's say you obviously we both picked up Will. I mean, what is your expectation from this match, Scholar Jeff? Do you expect a wrestling clinic between these three? Do you expect this to be the AJ Styles, Christopher Daniels, Samoa Joe Unbreakable from TNA? Do you expect this level of triple threat match?
I didn't until you said that. Because I feel like, yeah, it's obvious that Will Ospreay and Ricochet are just gonna go all flip flop flippity doos over here. And I can also see Takeshita just like absolutely powering through both of them and spoiling like the little crazy dance matches that they like to do. But I feel like at the same time, I feel like Samoa Joe back in the day in the prime of TNA was just sort of like banging on all cylinders. He was in his prime, he was feeling himself, he was confident. Now, if Takeshita still feels the way he did earlier in the year, where he's got something to prove, you're not dealing with someone who's necessarily comfortable with where he's at. You're dealing with someone of Takeshita's talent and of Takeshita's power who might have a little something to prove, might have a little bit of a chip on his shoulder, and is like, you know what? Don't you sleep on me. If you sleep on me, I'm going to take this crazy flippity do match and I'm going to throw these guys around. I'm going to have a hell of a match and I'm going to make you notice me. I will be, because I'm so undeniable, I will ruin your flippity do match. Meltzer will cry in his little Meltzer corner while still giving the match 5 stars because it's Kenosh Takeshita and he's got all the talent in the world. It's just a matter of time until everyone acknowledges Takeshita.
I think this will be match of the night, personally.
It's potentially match of the night because there's a few more killers
I
here that we
we'll
haven't
get
yet
to
to
that.
get to
We'll
go
get to
to.
that. Scott Jeff, keep teasing the audience. Let me tell you, you came on the right night to watch two brilliant minds at work, ladies and gentlemen. I mean,
Uh,
please
It,
let's show them more knowledge by going on to the next match. Give me some love for some tag team match, huh?
Indeed, we will. We are going to be taking a look next at the Young Bucks defending the AEW Tag Team Championships against Private Party. For this one, I'll tell you what, I feel like Private Party are back on their way up. I really want, again, we want to talk about AEW originals. Private Party is one of them, and I feel like they've been around for a long time and are getting progressively better every single time I see them. They just need more exposure on TV, more
Mm.
storylines to sink their teeth into. They already got the smidgen of something now, but I feel like, just my opinion, that they're not going to be able to unseat the Young Bucks just yet. Again, this is definitely another one of those times where if the Young Bucks are going to lose the titles, they gotta lose them to a big team or an upcoming team that's in a big storyline and a big blockbuster feud. Unfortunately, I feel like Private Party is not there just yet. I feel like this particular match is going to go to the Bucks, but if they choose to continue this feud, then maybe, just maybe at some point, maybe probably early next year, they Private Party could be escalated to that plateau, but I just don't think it's just yet. I'm looking for the Young Bucks to win. Pete, you
Let me
want to
tell you
steal another one of
something.
my good ideas?
Let me tell you, we're too cool. You're the Scotty too hottie to my Grandmaster Sex Ed. Let me tell you something. Brilliant, 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 Scholar Jeff. I, of course, agree with you because you have a brilliant mind. Let's talk about the facts here. Private Party is long overdue for a shot at these titles. We know this, but this is not the night to get it. Let's build it up. These two guys, these two teams, they're going to make it last and they're going to make it great. I do believe that we do need a little bit of a shakeup. I think that the tag team division getting a little bit stale. I feel like, give me something new, but I don't think that the Private Party will win this match. Reluctantly, I'm going to go with the Young Bucks, but their time is coming. Like, of course, the edge to my Christian. Of course, I'm talking about Scholar Jeff in the with the Young Bucks winning. But
Oh,
as
please
you were saying,
keep piling on the praise. I can take it.
listen, sir, you know what? Like I said, we're just two knowledgeable men giving our knowledge to the people.
And speaking of knowledge, or I've got no
People,
transition for it. Let's
they're
talk about the
people. I mean,
ladies
they
for a
are
minute.
people we're talking about.
I don't. I well, I'll tell you what. When I see this match coming up, I'm just like, I don't know what to think because we've got for the AEW Women's Championship, we've got Mariah May defending her title against Willow Nightingale. Pete, you got first pick on this one. Which way you going?
Well, let me ask you something, Scholar Jeff. Let's spice it up a little bit for the wrestling fans out there. Were you a 90s boy band fan? Did you buy into the Backstreet Boys in sync?
Uh, I was not, but let's be real. In the years of Backstreet Boys and NSYNC, it was undeniable when you were of school age, and we were both certainly of school age at that point. What point are you trying to get across here, sir?
Of course, I'm talking about the great band in sync. And there used to be a song, and it got translated into a month. So my prediction, of course, is it's gonna be May.
Ah, now I see where you're going with that.
Scholar Jeff, I just try to like give you just brilliant stuff over here. I mean, let's talk about this because there's nothing to talk about. She's retaining. I think you might see, you know, you might see Storm get involved. I think you're going to see some rekindling there, but I think unanimously May is winning this match. I have nothing more to say
You got
because
nothing
my
more to say
instinct.
about May.
Let me tell you something. My instinct and you did my tag team partner. It was like I went for a hot tag and I missed and you missed and we're just out of sync and we just lost our belts. But let's get our belts back, sir. Agree with me. Is it gonna be May?
It is indeed going to be May. And in all seriousness, if I didn't talk about this tonight, I probably would have talked about it at some point over the next few months towards our year end predictions and reviews and best ofs. I have been so impressed with Mariah May over the past several months this year. I think she's in the running for probably breakout star of the year in my mind. Because again,
Mm.
when we when we often heard that Mariah May was coming for those of us who were aware of the work she was doing in Japan and of stardom, we're like, oh, okay, an attractive blonde woman who can wrestle and has pedigrees in Japan. No, it goes way more than that. Just I'll tell you what, if you think about it, yeah, she was wrestling in Japan and gathering a following in Japan and just honing her craft in Japan all this time. So that when she comes into AEW at and has her debut match in a show that Scholar Tark and I were in attendance for, by the way, she was only showing a fraction of her potential. Now, playing the long game over the course of most of this year, between matches and poise and presentation and interviews and yes, appearance, Mariah May is a complete package. She is the most well-round out of the I don't want to say out of the gate, but upon debut for a major promotion, she's about as complete of a package as I've ever seen on a mainstream wrestling show. Mariah May isn't just like, okay, the glamour, oh, she's hot. She's, making dudes blush on podcasts. She is a legitimately good, well-rounded wrestler to a degree I didn't even expect to see. Meanwhile, we've got Willow Nightingale, who has so much presence and is so damn likable. She's the exact kind of person who will take the field of AEW and just like take the ball, run with it, spike it, get over on her own, and it's really hard. You can't not like Willow Nightingale. And I really want to see her like really take off to the moon. She's great. But like with so many other ones, I feel like when it comes to Mariah May, the question mark of Tony Storm is still out there. And we know that Tony Storm does not have any sort of injury. We know that she could come back at any time. So unless, say, Tony Storm were to come back, successfully interfere, cost Mariah the match, and actually allow Willow Nightingale to actually win the thing, which is a possibility. Unless that were to happen, I feel like most scenarios that could happen in this match are going to be Mariah May retaining. So yeah, I'm gonna stick with Mariah.
Let me tell you something, Scholar HBK. I mean, Scholar Jeff. Scholar Triple H. I mean, Scholar Pete, as we are Team DX, just killing it. I mean, brilliantly said, sir. I couldn't agree more. Well said. I mean, are we going to be tag team partners of the year at the end for the Scholars Awards? I think so.
If we keep playing our cards right, we just might.
Damn right. What's the next match? Hit the people with what they want.
The next match could potentially be a tricky one. We've got, in just a straight up match, we've got Hangman Adam Page going against returning Jay White. And I got to admit, this one's a tough one for me because I feel like Hangman is still banging on all cylinders lately, especially coming after his most recent feud with Swerve. But then again, Jay White has been out of the game for a while. And I feel like he really needs something to elevate himself. So I'm really not too sure which way to go here. Both
Well,
a good case could be made for either one of these guys to win. I'm gonna need to take a chance on this.
Would you like to phone a friend to get his thoughts, Scholar Jeff?
No, I need to stick to my guns. If we're gonna do these predictions, we need to do them right and in sequence. So
Fair
I'm going
enough.
to go with
What's it gonna be? Oh God, it's a
I
hard
am
one.
going to go with Jay White. I feel like something needs to happen here. He needs something. Uh, but I'm not I'm very unsteady about this one. I feel like I can't elaborate on this anymore. I'm just gonna go with Jay White. Pete, say something relevant before I change my mind.
As much as White deserves a push back into the main event, it's gonna obviously happen after his loss to Hangman at Wrestledream. Because let me tell you something. It's hard to talk about. Like you said, it's that back and forth. You have Jay White returning, but then how do you take Hangman's win off of Swerve Strickland, a staple of AEW? Would you agree, Scholar Jeff, with Bottle and Water?
You're blowing the kayfabe here.
I'm telling you. But
Yeah,
let me tell you,
we're
it's
talking a lot. We got to have our bottles of clear liquid here. It's a staple of the Scholars Wrestling Show. But
but I mean
yeah,
I mean you can't have him go off on a loss after that. It totally defeats the credibility of the win against Strickland. And I think that's why you have to give it to Adam Page here. I think it's going to be Adam Page being ruthless and how he's been keeping up that monstrous persona he's got going on. And the returning Jay White, the fighter. But I just don't think it's the move at the moment. I think you have to give the win so it doesn't hurt the credibility of him and how he's come back. I think you go with Hangman Adam Page. I'm sorry to my tag team partner that we disagree on this, but I feel strongly.
in this particular case, I feel like it's all going to come down to how Jay White is presented the night of. If he comes out and he's still just like, the same tempo that Jay White has been presented as before, like they basically just, okay, we're just continuing on with Jay White as we know him, then yeah, I can see this going to Hangman. But if they do something to tweak his presentation somehow, or just like freshen up his on screen persona outside of just something like the Bang Bang Gang or whatever they're doing, if they tweak him in some way to like freshen up his character, then it will make sense for Jay White to go over. But if they do what they sometimes do, and they don't change his presentation anyways, it's like, okay, Jay White's back, hooray, then yeah, you're totally right. That cannot be the kind of Jay White that upsets the current version of Hangman Page. There needs to be a tweak there. So I'm gonna be a little bit bold here. It's not an official prediction, but I'm going to guess that we'll be able to tell the outcome of this match before the final bell rings. We're gonna be able to tell right
We're
from
going to know in the
the
first 5 minutes of this
entrances.
match.
Not even. I'd say like the first 2 minutes, first if not 60 seconds. We're going to be able to tell right during entrances how this is going to go. We'll see if I'm right, but hey. Anywho,
Scholar Brian, Scholar Tarek, they're always wrong. You know what I love about you, Scholar Jeff? You're always right, and that is correct.
okay,
And
now you're
that's
just butt kissing now. Like let's give credit where it's due. They're called undisputed scholars for a reason. And yes, the only way to properly climb any mountain is to first recognize how tall it is. You don't go climbing Mount Everest and just call it just like a little hill when you're trying to climb Mount Everest. No, you respect that mountain, you acknowledge it as Everest, you bring the proper gear, you bring the proper oxygen masks, you train your body, you train your mind, and only then will you be able to prove your own greatness and triumph over Mount Everest. And
let me
that
tell
is
you.
what we must do to conquer The top, those are at the top of the mountain of the Scholars of Wrestling show, belt or not. We're coming for you, baby. Boom. I'm
I was
tagging you
locked
in.
in the basement last week and I couldn't make my predictions. I don't
Yes,
think.
we know.
But what we don't know is what's the next match on this card, sir?
Well, the next match on the card here is the MXM Collection,
Oh,
Mason Mansoor, whatever he's calling himself now, versus the Acclaimed. This is going to be a super fun one. And Pete, it's your pick up first. Which way you going?
let me tell you something. This is when you're happy that the order comes to you. Because, ladies and gentlemen, what's been more entertaining since their debut with the collection? I mean, these guys are great. They're entertaining to watch in AEW and ROH, where they're at. It's entertainment. But you got to remember one thing, ladies and gentlemen. The Acclaim is one of the most best things going for AEW and its company. I mean, this is going to be an entertaining match, but it will be a easy win for the acclaimed. And not easy win. I should not say easy. I apologize, but I think the acclaimed will come out with the W. Now, Scholar Jeff, please enlighten the people that you also agree with your tag team partner.
I didn't. I did not agree with my tag team partner because I really wanted to see MXM Collection really win this match, use that as the stepping stone to the next step in their careers until right as we're recording this, the right down to the second that we're recording this, in the background, I've also got AEW Rampage on in the background. And right as we were talking, not maybe 10 minutes ago, what did I see? I saw the Acclaimed come out and get ambushed by MXM Collection. So that tells me that, you know what? If they're getting attacked before their match tomorrow, they're setting up the Acclaimed to win. I, as much as I believe the
Join
Acclaimed to be a
me.
Teflon, I believe the Acclaimed to be a Teflon team here. I feel like there's more for the MXM Collection to gain from this. So, but then again, hopefully, I can also see them at the same time being so entertaining, MXM Collection, that they can take a loss and it won't affect them very much at all. But as for this particular night, I'm going to go with the Acclaimed as well.
It feels
Now,
good, doesn't it? Joining your tag team partner.
hey, we were already tag team partners for a reason, you know it. But speaking of tag team partners and interesting matches, the penultimate match we've got on our list here is a rather unique one. We've got Hologram versus the Beast Mortos in a 2 out of 3 falls match. I gotta admit, I haven't been watching every single moment of every single show. I don't know why this match is happening, but this is really surprising to me. This match should not be happening. This match should not be happening. Nothing about this match makes sense. If you really look, you got a new luchador, original luchador for AEW called Hologram. Really, like hologram. That's the stupidest name on paper ever. But but Hologram is not only having killer matches every week, but he's actually getting legitimately over with the crowd. I'm like, okay, he looks like a freaking Power Ranger. I guess the AEW crowd likes Power Rangers. All right, it's working. It's working for me. And then on the other side, you've got the Beast Mortos. Like this should be on paper like Mantar 2.0. Like, but no, you've got like a big metal-headed dude in an actual beast mask, and he's like right in the background, right as we're recording. We got the Beast Mortos going up against the Butcher, and they're just like big meaty men slapping meat, and it's awesome. And it's like a big old monster. I like a big old monster face. And that brings us to this match we're seeing right now. Like,
When that shouldn't exist.
I like I'm looking forward to this match. I'm glad that wrestlers like Beast Mortos exist. I like the craziness. I like how cool he looks like he's from a Norwegian metal band cover. It's great. And I like the Power Ranger hologram man actually working. I like everything about this.
So what's your prediction?
Well, that brings me to the only thing I don't like about this match because when it comes to Kaiju Monster Mans versus Power Ranger Mans, the Power Ranger Mans I think is going to win, and I wish that wasn't the case. I wish the Kaiju Mans were was going to win. I wish I could say Beast Mortos, but I think they're going for the super face hologram win here. But yeah, as an aside, before I hear your prediction here, tell me, have you ever seen Kaiju Big Battle before?
I have not.
Do you know what Kaiju Big Battle is?
I'm giant monsters beating the shit out of each other.
But do you know what Kaiju Big Battle is?
No. If it's a
Well,
game or something like that, I do not know.
better yet, it is a professional wrestling organization where all of the matches feature just kaiju, like people in rubber suit kaiju suits
Like Godzilla, stuff
wrestling.
like that.
Yeah, it's not like licensed like Toho characters like Godzilla. It's their
Yeah,
own original
that's fantastic.
characters. It's been around for years and it's low key one of the most fascinating wrestling shows I've ever seen. I discovered them like in high school or college or something like that. And they've been consistently doing like these kinds of crazy Japanese kaiju inspired shows. And I feel like Beast Mortos is as close as we've ever seen to seeing a character like that on a major mainstream wrestling show. And it actually works and I love it. And yeah, I miss like crazy, wacky, cuckoo shit like this. Pardon my language, but I'm like, this is just like wrestling at its most crazy and weird and ridiculous, but also incredibly awesome. So I hope they sign Beast Mortos. I like Beast Mortos. I want Beast Mortos to win this match really, really badly, but I gotta follow my gut here, and I think Hologram is just gonna take this one. With that said, Pete, the floor is yours. Which way are you going?
Well, audience, let's just give a round of applause for that knowledge by Scholar Jeff, showing why he is the premier. Look at that, just sipping on his water, just knowing that he knows his
Stop
shit.
breaking kayfabe, bro.
Let me tell you something. What isn't breaking is the results of this match. And that is because you pointed out that Hologram is over. The fans love him. He's also undefeated. And they ain't going to be changing that. He's clearly a priority for AEW. Their magic is going with him. And like you said, I love the beast, but I just feel like he's a pig to slaughter, and a hologram is just going to like everything you echoed to my tag team partner. You heard it from him. I'm just saying that I agree, and hologram for the W.
All right. And with that,
Do you think that Beast gets a pinfall, or do you think it's straight to a hologram?
that is one thing I can honestly say. I don't, if they're doing a best 2 out of 3 falls here, and if they see a future with Beast Mortos, which I think they absolutely do, I think they're going to use this as a pathway to keep both guys strong while also putting over their future super face. I can see them drawing it out. I can absolutely see Mortos getting a pinfall here. No question at all.
Thank you, Scholar Jeff.
But now that brings us to the final match, the main event for this evening. We've got for the AEW championship, we've got Bryan Danielson defending his championship against my one boy versus my other boy, John Moxley. These are two of my favorite guys going today, and they have been for years. I'm very curious to know how you think this one is going to go down because this one does not seem clear cut to me at all. Pete, which way you going?
Thank you, Scholar Jeff, for letting me, of course, start off. I have to say, you don't have to give me your answer, obviously, but I think we are in agreement. This is a a difficult decision to make. Who's winning? Who's walking out as champion? But I'm going to hit you with some facts, ladies and gentlemen. So let's look at it this way. Right now, Moxley's a monster. And I think that it's a good time for him, maybe, to take the belt. Because how poetic would it be, Scholar Jeff, if, especially in his home state, his full time career is over, facing a man that he started the BCC with, William Regal, with? How fitting would it be to put Daniel Bryan down finally, full time? Give him his moment. Give it to Moxley. Moxley, who's just been the heel with Hawk helping him. And just what a decision that would be for AEW to have Moxley be the height, the heel that he is. I think this is going to be very poetic, very emotional, but I do believe that because, especially being in his home state, Daniel Bryan will not walk out as champion. John Moxley will be your new champion. Scholar Jeff, I've been waiting with bated breath. Do you think your one of your boys is done being full time?
I'll tell you what. I'm just looking at all of this. We're looking at the big picture here.
Absolutely.
Like you said, we're in Washington, we're in his home state. We're also having him go against his former running buddies in the BCC. We're also seeing John Moxley, who seems to, over the past several weeks, we seem to be seeing a John Moxley that has something building. He's building up something. He's right, like he's ready to reveal something. And to top it all off, we're also the stipulation as far as Bryan Danielson losing the belt was that he wouldn't retire after this, but he would just not be wrestling full time anymore, not retiring outright. So that tells me that I feel very confident in saying that I think you're right. I think we're going to see a new AEW champion in John Moxley. I think that there's going to be a major reveal of something or somebody during or after this match that will lead to this. Will the feud continue? Maybe. Will Bryan Danielson be taking some time off? Most likely. This all just makes too much sense in my mind. And I feel like it, if Bryan Danielson is really okay with cutting back his hours, taking some time off, going into part time wrestling work, he's not going to go away that totally. Not at all. I think he still has plenty of time left, but I believe him when he says that he's looking forward to reducing his hours and being home more. But I also believe that when we were talking earlier about certain people being champions for the AEW brand, John Moxley has been that not quite since day one, but for years, even when the company was at its low points, even during COVID. John Moxley was always there, always putting in work. He is part of that contingent of people who is a champion of the brand. Yeah, he made his name elsewhere. He's a former WWE champion. But at the same time, all that stuff outstanding, he has still been a true AEW champion in every sense of the term. And I feel like this, out of all the other matches where we said, okay, it needs a different presentation for someone to take the belt, it needs a different person to take the belt, needs more to take the belt, yada, yada. This is the flip side of that. This is, in every sense of the word, the right person to take the belt from Brian Danielson so he can go home and be a family man and just take some time off, rest up his body, and yeah, enjoy your time off. We'll see you in a little bit. In the meantime, all the king is dead. Long live the king. John Moxley retains, or John Moxley wins. John Moxley wins. John Moxley. That's it.
It's the best decision they can make right now with everything lined up. And what a better decision than, like we said, John Moxley. I mean, we talked about how well, the triple threat with Ospreay, Ricochet, and everything is going to be a great match. You know that in its own way that Danielson and Moxley is going to be a classic. You're going to sit in and you're going to get a good 30-minute match out of these gentlemen, at least. And
Yeah.
it's just going to be a brutal, but by God, is it going to tell a story? And that's why, as Mike, you said to the beginning, Scholar Jeff, this card may have 11 matches, but there are so many great matches on this card, which has significance, whether it be the main event, whether it be the triple threat that everybody wants to see, whether it be Hologram and the Beast for some ungodly reason being on the main card, or if it's just Private Party and the Young Bucks putting on a great match. You're going to get I think, a very great um, pay-per-view for this match. I can't wait to rate it with you, Scholar Jeff, and if the others decide to show up, and face us like true scholars, But let me just let the record state that these were my predictions, Scholar Jeff. You heard them from my mouth, from these lips. These are my predictions, not the predictions I gave for Bad Blood last week. Whoever that imposter was, then those were not my predictions, and I just want the world to know, the Scholars of Wrestling fan base to know, when me and Scholar Jeff dominate this event coming up this weekend, and we have the best matches, and we just dominate. Just know that I could have been your champion. I could have been your fighting champion. So in the comments below, rally for me. Say hip hip for Scholar Pete.
I want to see that all over the damn place. That is going to be the hot new hashtag that will take X by storm. Hip hip scholar Pete.
You just start they start Sweden and Scholar Brian, and he's like, what the hell is going on? The movement. This is my yes movement.
Okay, clearly we've gone off the rails a little bit. But you said first, Pete, these are our predictions for AEW Wrestledream 2024. But now, of course, with that out of the way, now is the time where we send it over to you, our fellow fans. Who do you think is going to walk away from Wrestledream with a win in the column? And will the other scholars ever be able to match our record on Wrestledream? How much smack talk will you be hearing until the rest of the year? No matter what you think, let us know all across the internet, in the comments section, on Facebook, where on Instagram, whatever you got, including on X or the Twitter machines. Join in the conversation yourself and hit us up directly. Scholar Pete, where can people reach you?
First, they can reach me over on the Twitter machine, the X machine at Improv Pete.
And you can join in the conversation with me at I'm Robbie Rage. And for all of our relevant social media links and much, much more, check us out in the description at our link tree. That's linktree/scholars of wrestling for much, much more. And with that, those are our predictions. And we are gearing up for Wrestle Dream. Are you ready for Wrestle Dream, Pete?
Oh, I'm born ready. Let me tell you something, Scholar Jeff. Again, I think, and the people I think would agree in the comments. What a great show this was. Knowledgeable. We gave great predictions. Let me tell you something, Scholar Jeff. What a pleasure. What a pleasure it is to be your tag team partner. Hot tag, hot tag.
Hot
Give me a
tag,
hot tag
boom.
here. Ah, hot tag. Look at that. Ladies and gentlemen, nobody's
Hottest
better.
of the tags.
Let me tell you, nobody's better. Scholar Jeff, thank you, buddy.
Oh, and no, thank you, sir, for making a great episode of the Scholars of Wrestling show. And we're going to be back next week for even more smack talk, even more greatness. But you already knew that because you know who we are. We're the Scholars of Wrestling, and you have just been schooled. You're welcome. See
You're
you
welcome.
all, and until then, dream on.